everybody, Sarah Lane here down in the middle of Startup Alley. I'm not alone though, I have Bastian Lehmann, the CEO, the head honcho over at Postmates, who has a really cool hat, and I would love one of those, by the way.
Thank you. I'll make sure to get you one.
I appreciate that very much. We'll swap. You get a TechCrunch sweatshirt, I get a Postmates hat.
Yes.
Now, Postmates, I insisted on doing this interview because, as you know, but maybe some other people don't know my food habits, I order Postmates easily 3 to 4 times a week. I am your best customer in San Francisco, or one of them anyway. I have to be on like the high end of usage for Postmates.
You'll be surprised, but you probably are.
In fact, I think I told you this and you were like, no, why? I, at one point, deleted the app because I was afraid I was overusing it.
Yes, I
because as anything that is some sort of a shopping addiction, it tends to add up. Which is why we should get into your McDonald's situation. I don't think you talked about that on the main stage.
Yeah, no.
With John Schieber, which you did earlier today.
Yeah.
So, as I understand it, it's a test run happening in New York City, correct?
Yes, that's correct. I think there's around 100 McDonald's franchisees involved in the test. And, you know, I think both companies want to figure out, is there demand for McDonald's on-demand deliveries?
Right.
Which it looks like there is, because we already do serve the restaurants on the platform.
Exactly.
And then how challenging is like the logistics behind it. So that's what we're going to do over the next, I think, couple of weeks or couple of months.
And how does that change the general focus of Postmates? Because I kind of think of Postmates as, oh, it's such an easy way for me to order from my favorite taqueria when it's raining, or I'm tired and I'm home, or I'm sick, or it's the convenience of kind of those mom and pop stores.
Yeah.
Obviously, McDonald's is on the total and other end of the spectrum, as would be Chipotle.
I think we have an interesting approach when it comes to partnerships. We have an approach that starts at the bottom and goes up, and then there's a top-down approach. And I believe a strategy that combines the two of them is really effective when it comes into winning markets. So I'll give you an example. We did deliveries from over 80,000 merchants in the cities we're operating in. 80,000. Around 90% of them have never done deliveries before. But we never had any relationships with the stores. We would just walk in and we would fulfill deliveries for customers such as you.
Yeah.
8 weeks ago, we started to change that, and we now have a merchant program. And this merchant program, the goal is to sign up merchants on the platform that love to have closer relationships with Postmates so that we can drive more efficiencies on the ground and in the operations. Now, again, 8 weeks ago, we had none partnerships. Today, we have around 800 merchants signed on the platform. And that means that around 13% of all our deliveries are now with in-network merchants, which is great. It helps us to monetize better. It helps us to have faster access to the goods in the stores, first-in-line principles, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So that's our bottom-up approach, and it works very well because that's what Postmates is known for. But I think what happens at the same time is that larger brands realize that this market of same-day delivery has been created. There is an infrastructure like Postmates in place, and they want to see if they can utilize that same infrastructure. And that's why you see us doing deals from both sides.
Now, on the startup side of things, there are other companies that are experimenting with delivery.
Yeah.
Goods delivery, which includes food. So you could say something like Uber might be a direct competitor to you very soon.
Yeah.
What about sort of the Facebook model of a company like McDonald's maybe saying, oh my gosh, so many people want this food delivered, we should just have our own infrastructure, and they've got the money to build it?
I think it's very challenging to build an on-demand logistics platform in the first place. For most companies, it makes no sense to do it themselves. See, the beautiful thing about what we did at Postmates is that we could do it for 2 or 3 years when not many people cared about the market.
Yeah.
So we were always the underdog, and we were totally happy with that role. But I think what's going to happen is that people will understand that the market is now created, and over sudden, as it seems, Postmates is a large player in it, which for us, it's just continuous works over the last 3 years. But a lot of people, because they start noticing trends now, Postmates just appears. So I don't think that another player can easily reproduce our infrastructure and compete with us. We have clear signals that we can lock supply in and demand in markets that we're operating in. So I'm not saying we're invincible. That would be totally stupid. And obviously Uber is a big company and we respect them a lot. But what we're doing is a lot more difficult than just taking a person in a car from point A to point B.
Right. So one of the specific things that I've noticed about Postmates is if I want to, let's say, order sushi, that happens a lot, and a courier picks up my food on a bike, I don't care because sushi's cold.
Yeah.
If a courier picks up my papalote burrito on a bike, I go,
Yeah.
I wish I could choose to have the warm car. It's not even really the time, it's actually the food temperature. Is that something that you're factoring into future versions of the service?
I think we may. So I believe the fleet is now large enough so that we can allow you as a customer to make that decision. Obviously, in order for you to make that decision, we want to find a way that it works out. Maybe one costs less than the other or the other way around.
Yeah.
But just to quickly, on the bike side, around 25% of our fleet is bikes, 75% is cars. In New York, it's 75% bikes because every metric that we look at, a bike wins in a city like New York.
Right.
Hands down.
And New York is flat, so
and New York is flat.
Fewer challenges than San Francisco.
But even in the markets where we have fewer bikes, we did a hell of a job to upgrade their equipment. So you will have a hard time finding a Postmate now without heated bags or without hot and cold bags. So because we get your pain and I totally understand it, we want to make sure that we can provide the best quality. It's another reason why you can't just do the same thing, because over time we really try to equip these fleet the best we can.
Besides actual terrain and a bike courier having to go up a hill, for example, what are really the big differences when you're scaling into new cities? San Francisco, Postmates is very popular. You might ask somebody in New York what delivery service they use, and they'll rattle off several competitors that I'm not familiar with because they just haven't caught on in my city. So as you're rolling out, what are the sorts of specific, unique challenges that you have to build into operating in a new city?
Yeah. So a new city is almost like a clean slate because there are very few efficiencies that you can drive if you have zero volume or if you have very little volume. So it is interesting to think about the way that we can reach scale in a new city. And I think we found a very unique playbook for Postmates, how that works for us. And for us, it's like we start in a very small area. We run a lot of promotions with really popular merchants in that city. And they result in a ton of referrals. 85% of all our traffic and installs are word of mouth, which is like insane. We spend almost no money on marketing. But with really clever promotions around products that people desire, we can grow very, very fast to liquidity in a market. And then of course from there, it's different challenges to be the largest player in that market. But in almost all the markets that you can name, Postmates is the largest, despite other categories or despite other competitors like DoorDash or Caviar. Maybe only second to Seamless, which is obviously the huge juggernaut.
Yeah.
But we should be reminded that they don't do their own deliveries; they're just facilitating the order.
Exactly. And your Postmates couriers, when you were talking to my colleague John up on stage, you had said it is an incredible part-time job.
Yep.
Possibly could be a full-time job, but for most of the couriers that are Postmates delivery folks, it's a part-time thing, and they're supplementing their income with maybe a few part-time jobs. Do you find that, I mean, are a lot of them students? Is there a certain kind of person who, you know, what kind of other part-time job might they have? Are you seeing a lot of the same patterns?
Yeah, so it's very popular among students. It's very popular amongst people that maybe have a part-time job as a waitress, as a barista, that work already in the service industry. I think it's a job that's very related to that.
Yeah.
Because people understand the challenges and they understand the benefits, they understand how to deliver a good service. So I think that's a clear pattern that we see. And then we see almost like recreational customers, people that just do it because it is fun, which it actually is. I try to have everybody at Postmates do deliveries as well, and I think we're at like around 80% of the company who does deliveries. If you have time on a Sunday, if you have time on an evening on the weekend, or even during lunch times, it's a fun thing to do. You can rent a scooter, or you can get on your bike, you can now be a walker, and you can just walk around, and you can make money. And it is a lot more fun as one thinks it is.
So what are some new features besides me wanting to filter between bikes and cars that we can look forward to in future Postmates apps?
So we're going to announce when the time is right, probably towards the end of May, a product within Postmates that allows you to have access to your favorite merchants at a radical price point. And we're talking about maybe $1 or $2. So you know that we already have a $4.99 place group in the app. These are merchants that we work with, so we're able to offer the deliveries for a really affordable price. But we want to get even better, and we want to offer deliveries for $1 or $2. That's going to happen at some point in May or end of May, and we believe it's going to be a really, really interesting product for a lot of people, because it combines the cheapest way to get something with the highest possibly quality from the best merchants.
All right, well, that's all the time we have. I'm looking forward to the new features. If I can also request that when it's really late at night and I just want to know what's open in San Francisco because nothing is, I have one of those filters in Postmates as well.
Right. So I think that will be there's so much more that we can do better, so I appreciate the feedback, Sarah.
Well, it's nice that you have room to grow, and I love the service. Can't lie about that. Thanks, Bastian.
Thanks a bunch.